Today we're checking out a new dual wireless microphone system from PHENYX PRO. And this system right here has the most features and specs that I've seen in a wireless microphone system at this price point. It has scanning and syncing. It has over 300 feet of range. And on top of that, it has settings for 2, 5, 10, and up to 30 milliwatts of transmission power. It has a built-in spectrum analyzer so you can scan it and see the RF environment when you do a scan. It has a setting called UHF ID, which means only the registered wireless microphone will be picked up, which is a really clever way to avoid interference with this system. You get 100 channels and 1,000 frequencies per wireless system as well. You get all of those features, and it's currently on sale for $343, which is like $170 a wireless microphone, which is an insane deal for all the stuff that you get with this system. PHENYX PRO was kind enough to send me one of the very first units. They actually sent this to me before it even came out, and I brought it to 4 different shows, and I'm going to go over my experience with using it. Spoiler alert, it's been working awesome. I do want to say many thanks to PHENYX PRO for sending this over and for sponsoring the video. Just as always, all the opinions in this video are my own. Anytime I take on a sponsored video, I always still get final say in my opinions of these products. If you've seen my channel before, you know that I've recommended PHENYX PRO products for a while now. They do some of the best budget-friendly wireless gear, and this is no exception. Also, I am going to be doing a giveaway to one of my subscribers at the end of the video. There will be details down below if you want to check this out for yourself. It is currently available on Indiegogo. That's enough for the intro. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and let's go ahead and get started. So let's go over the initial setup first. Pretty easy. So this is the dual receiver right here. On the back, you can see you have 2 separate XLR outputs for separate outputs for each of the individual wireless mics. And you also have a mix out 1/4 inch if you do want to route them both out the same channel. Comes with the 4 antennas, so I'm going to screw that here in the back. If you are going to put this into the rack, make sure you do not have the antennas just stuck in the back of the rack. That's a good way to get dropouts. You're going to want to get something like this antenna kit in order to bring it to the front, and I will link to that down below as well. We'll plug in power, and you're ready to go. And then the mics just take 2 AA batteries. Keep in mind the infrared port is right here, and I'll show you what to do with that here in a minute. But I'm going to power up the receiver right here. And your main controls here for channel A and for channel B, you control them by pushing this button right here. You can either push it in order to sync, or you hold it in order to get to the menu on each of them. And then use the jog wheel in order to go through some of the menu options, which is what we're going to go over next. So the controls are the exact same on both channels, which I can access with this button right here. So if I want to go to channel A, I'm going to hold the button. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set the volume. This is the output level. By default, it was set to plus 18 decibels. I do find that to be a little bit too high. So I'm going to push in on the jog wheel, and then I'm going to turn it all the way down to unity gain. It goes from negative 30 decibels up to plus 18 decibels. I'm going to push in to confirm that. And actually, you know what? I'm going to do the rest of this on channel B because I think that will make sense. But again, remember, you have these exact same menu controls over each of the separate channels. So for this one, I'm also going to set the volume to a more reasonable level and set it to unity. And now that is stored. So one of the first things you actually want to do is you want to scroll all the way down until you get to scan, push a button, push it again to start, and now it is scanning for the best channel. Now I'm going to let this happen in real time just so you can see how fast it scans. Do just keep in mind that you want to do this with your transmitters off. You want to make sure that your transmitters are off when you scan. It might think that that's an unavailable channel when it might actually be available. So now you can see that it is scanned, and it has found channel 90 as the best channel, which is 559.500 megahertz. I'm going to turn on my microphone here. Remember that infrared port? I'm going to open this up. I'm going to push the sync button. I'm going to put that infrared port right by this IR light right here. And you can see that the microphone has a check mark, and you can see that it is now set to the same channel. And you can see that I'm getting an RF reading on both antennas. And when I tap into the microphone up here, you can see that I'm getting an audio meter over here. And now I'm ready to go with this mic. That's one of the first things you want to do is scan for the best channel, and then make it super easy. Let's continue on with the menu options. So you can go to RF set, and you can set the channel manually if you want. So it found channel 90 as the best channel for this wireless, but I could manually set it to a different channel. It has 100 different options to choose from, but I'm not going to change it. I'm going to go with what the scan found, but I can manually set it if I would like. You can also go to tune, and you can just manually set it yourself as well. So I could set it to 541 point whatever, and it goes up by 0.025 megahertz. So you can get exact with your settings if you would like as well. well. Next option is Squelch. So I made a separate video going over Squelch if you want to understand this more, but you have high, mid, and low settings. I do think these are kind of backwards on at least the way that I think of Squelch, but the easiest way that you can see this is I'm going to set the Squelch to the middle right here and see over here at the RF reading right here, see these little white dots? So what that means is that if the RF signal strength drops below this level, that means it's going to mute the audio, which can be really helpful because if your RF meter, which is basically just the strength of the wireless signal, if it drops too low, it can pick up interference. So instead of picking up interference, I can just mute it instead, which can be really nice. So you can see when I have the mic on, there's a nice strong RF signal, but if it drops below and it goes too low, I would rather have it mute instead of picking up interference. Again, watch my video on Squelch to understand it more and how I use it. It's actually a really powerful tool, and it's really cool that it's in this system. I'm actually just going to leave this on middle. There is no just set it and forget it. Watch my video to find out how I use Squelch. UHF ID, this is awesome, and I'm going to come back to this here in a little bit. Scan, I already showed you, and the Spectrum Manager, this is also really cool, especially at something at this price point. This is pretty wild. Hit the Spectrum Manager, and now it is scanning the current wireless environment, and it will tell me which channels are busy and I can't use, and which ones are clean. So you can see here, and I can use this and scroll through and see if any signal is being picked up somewhere. This can be really helpful for picking a clean channel on other wireless devices that do not have a scan. It's really cool that they included this, especially at this price point. And just to test this out, I'm going to set this wireless system right here to 541 megahertz, and I'm going to scan and see if it picks it up. So I'm going to do another scan. And sure enough, it picked up right here at 541 that something else is currently using that channel. I can go through here and I can see, oh, okay, 541, I really need to avoid. Very, very helpful. It's cool that they included that at this price point. It gives you a reading of the RF environment. Very, very helpful. Next up, we have the transmitter settings. So this is information that you are going to send to the wireless microphones. So I can adjust the mic sensitivity, the output from the mic itself. You can set it to 0, 3, 6, or 9 decibels. I do find that 6 tends to be nice, but it just depends on your vocalist. And then this is what's also crazy at this price point is that you can set the milliwatts, which is the strength of the wireless signal. You can set it all the way up to 30 milliwatts. You can drop it to 10, 5, or 2 milliwatts, which is really helpful. A lot of people just think, oh, I'm just going to set it to the highest milliwatt possible, but I'm only going to be like 10 feet from the wireless. That's actually a good way to cause more problems. You don't want to do that. You want to set it higher if you're going longer distances. Super cool that they give you that as an option. And I did a test with this at 30 milliwatts at one of my shows, and I'm going to go over that later. But that's incredibly helpful that you can set the milliwatts and the strength of the wireless signal based on the distance that you're going. Remember, do not just set it to the highest level. That can cause more issues if you're not going that far from your wireless, and it can cause other wireless to have problems as well. So there's not just one setting. Make sure that it's set properly. And then I'm going to resync in order to send this over to the transmitter. And you'll see that the gain is now set to +6. And there's this little meter right here that will tell you with 4 different bars what the strength in milliwatts is set to. So 2, 5, 10, or 30 based on the bars. This is the most features that I've seen in a wireless microphone at this price point. And just FYI, on the transmitter, you can quickly tap the button and that will mute it, which you can see on the transmitter, and then tap it again and it will unmute it. So you do also have a quick mute, which is very nice. You have an auto lock setting if you want to lock some of the features, but I don't want to have that on personally. You can also change the language, although mine is just in English. You can also reset it. You can see the version that you're on, and you can also exit. So like I said, I was going to come back to the UHF ID. This is really, really cool. So it was set to off when I was doing all of this. I'm going to now set it to on. What this is going to do is it needs to have an ID with a microphone in order to pick up a signal. So you can see this receiver is currently set to receive signal on 559.500 megahertz. If something else is even transmitting on that frequency, the PHENYX Pro system will ignore that because it has not ID linked with with the microphone, which is really cool. So watch this right now, actually. So I'm going to turn on the microphone, and you can see it's getting an RF meter right here, right? You can see that it's coming through, but it's still muted. This microphone is set to 559.500 megahertz. It's transmitting on that frequency, but it is not ID linked to this channel. And see, even when I tap it, it's not getting any signal. So I need to resync it. So I'm going to sync. And now, since that UHF ID is on, now it knows only to listen to this microphone set to this frequency. Anything else set to this frequency will be ignored. Pretty awesome. And again, just to prove that this works, I'm going to set this wireless. I'm going to manually set it. Oh, it maxes out at 558. So let me actually, I'm going to set this receiver here. I'm going to manually tune that to 541. Also very nice that I can do this manually because that's what this wireless is set to transmit at. You can see it's transmitting at 541 megahertz, but it is muted. It knows that, hey, this is not the wireless microphone that we have an ID lock on. It doesn't matter if it's transmitting on the same frequency. This is interference, and we're going to ignore it instead. Very helpful for preventing interference. I would rather have it mute than get horrible noises. All right, one more little nerdy test of mine that I wanted to do on this. So you can see that this microphone on the left is currently set to 512 megahertz, and the milliwatts is set to the max at 30 milliwatts. The one on the right here is set to 552.750 megahertz and is set to the lowest at 2 milliwatts. I'm using this little RF scanner, and I'm going to set this to read between about 500 and 560 megahertz just to give me a reading of the current RF environment. I'm going to put these close to each other, and you can see that the first one is getting a stronger signal than the second one because the milliwatt strength is set a little bit higher. Pretty cool. Obviously, this is going to change based on how close it is to the antenna that is picking it up, but no matter where I move it, you can still see that the one on the left at 512 is getting a stronger signal. But now, if I set this one on the right to be at 30 milliwatts now instead, so you can see I have this one is now set to the 30 milliwatt setting, and then put them close to each other. Now you can see that they're both at about the same peak, at least with this RF scanner. Just a cool little test I wanted to do with this to make sure that it was working. Okay, now I've switched over to the microphone so you can hear how it sounds. This is how I would have it sound personally with the processing that I would put on it. I'm not really a fan of here's how it sounds dry because in my opinion, we always put processing on vocal mics and stuff like that. However, I know some of you enjoy hearing it dry, so if you want to hear how it sounds dry, this is how the microphone sounds completely dry with no processing on it at all. But that brings me to my experience with this microphone. So I was able to bring it to 4 different shows. All 4 of them were with my 90s band, 90% 90s. So the first show that I brought this to was at an outdoor event, and I got there early enough that I could do a range test with this thing. So I set it to 30 milliwatts because the further you go, the higher you want to set your milliwatt setting to. And I took it as far as I could go, especially since it was a nice open area, and I had time to do this. Of course, it was windy while I was doing this, so the wind can kind of get annoying in this video clip, but it got really far. So check this out. I'm all the way at the end, all the way over here. Check. Wow. Test. Still hear it. All the way back here. Test. No dropouts. I'm gonna keep going. Sorry about the wind, there's nothing I can really do about that. But if you listen, you can hear the delay because I'm going so far away that, you know, there's going to be a little bit of delay from the speakers. So when you hear that echo, that's the wireless working coming out of that speaker. The further away you go, the more echo you're going to get. That's true with any system. But I went even further than that. Test. Test. Hello. Wow. Test. Check. Wow. That's impressive. The wind didn't help at all, so hopefully you could hear that. But if you couldn't hear that, it never cut out all that distance. Pretty impressive that the range test worked that far away. I went back into the show. I set the milliwatts down because I didn't need to go that far away from my wireless microphone system, and it worked great all night. The second show was a really early show on 4th of July, and there was another company doing sound for that event. Worked great all night, had no issues with it. I asked the girl who ran sound, who we've worked with a bunch of times. She's great. As I was setting up, she was like, I hadn't heard of that brand, and I was just saying I was testing it out. And after the show, without asking, she said, that microphone sounds great. So another good sign. So show 3 was downtown. We played downtown Denver right by the Rockies game. So this was a very busy night. We're playing in the heart of downtown Denver right by a sporting event. We had some issues with wireless gear at the show. Just while we're setting up, we all have pretty good wireless gear, but we're like, oh wow, this is a congested RF environment, which can happen when you're playing downtown in a busy night in a busy area by a big sporting event. Wireless always depends on the venue and the wireless environment around you. I had no problems with this. I did a scan when we got there. This thing worked great. I had no dropouts, even in a congested RF environment. This actually worked out really great that I have 2 of these microphones because a singer in another band that I played with, she was downtown and she came in and we asked her to sing a couple of songs with us. So it was great that I had a second mic for her. I didn't know that she was coming out there, so I was just like, oh, well, I have 2 mics. Let's set this up really quick. We didn't sound check it or anything. It was kind of just plug it in, set the gain and set the level, and you're ready to go. Our stage manager, Larissa, got some footage of this, and it actually worked out that I didn't really do a sound check because, and you'll hear it in the audio, that the microphone is really high up in the mix, and I forgot to send reverb. It was just a quick, here's a microphone, let's do a couple songs. Here's a test of how the microphone sounds live with just not really any processing on it. You can kind of hear it a little bit more dry and high up in the mix. So my mistake of not doing this live actually worked out for the YouTube video. So the singer's name is Olivia James. She plays in a band that I play in called Top Shelf as well. Phenomenal singer. She is a way, 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 way better singer than I am. So I could either demo this with a D+ version of a Johnny Cash song again, or I can let this footage speak for itself.
Give it up for Olivia James, everybody. Don't have to be beautiful to turn me on. I just need your body, babe, from dusk till dawn. You got to know talk dirty if you want to impress me. I can't be too pretty much. I know how to undress me. To have an attitude, you just leave it all up to me. My love can be a fool. Yeah. You don't have to be rich to be my girl. You don't have to be cool to win over. Ain't no particular time. Ain't nothing better. I just want your extra time and you. Miss Olivia James, everybody.
So yeah, microphone worked great all night, had no problems, worked great with a second singer. It's nice that you can have 2 of them as well in just 1 U of rack space. So show 4 is actually tonight. I'm filming this and then I'm going over to that next show. I can't imagine there's going to be any issues with it. If there's any footage that I want to include it, I'll splice it into the video. If it worked great, I'm just going to put "it worked great" right down here in text, and I'll post some footage of me using it at the show. Quite an insane deal for what you get for 2 wireless microphones. Again, it's currently listed on Indiegogo for $343, and it's on sale for 20% off right now. So it looks like when it goes live in the future, after the Indiegogo campaign is over, that's going to be about $430. Still a fantastic deal for such a good wireless microphone system with so many features. And if you are watching this in the future and it's for sale on the PHENYX PRO website, I'll have links to that down below. Just remember, you can also use promo code ScottYuleMusic at checkout on the PHENYX PRO website to get 5% off your entire purchase. That's not for the Indiegogo campaign, but for any purchase on the PHENYX PRO website, you can use promo code ScottYuleMusic and save 5% off of your order. But yeah, this thing's been working great. The battery life is really solid on this thing. The range is great. The sound is great. I had no issues with it. And do just keep in mind that it is listed that the bandwidth of this is 50 megahertz. That's just a fancy way of saying how many frequencies that the wireless system can use. It is 50 megahertz wide, but each wireless is only 25 megahertz. So the first one goes from like 512 to 537, and the next one goes from like 537 to 562. So they're 25 megahertz each. It would be nice if both of them just span the full 50 megahertz, but again, at this price point, you really can't beat it. The plosives are a little bit strong, not that bad. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. They're there, but they're not awful. You can also notch that out with using a low cut filter as well. That was me overdoing the plosives. I didn't really notice it using it live, just with normal singing. Handling noise is decent. If you do that a lot, that'll probably be the most noise that you'll get. And do just keep in mind that this is an analog wireless system. I do have a video going over why digital wireless is better than analog system. Digitals are almost always much more expensive. Analog is still completely usable. I'm just basically saying that, this isn't the holy grail of all wireless systems, but it's an insanely well-priced wireless microphone system, and you get a ton of great features, especially at this price point. And it sounds great. So thanks again to PHENYX PRO for sending this over. This is a really great wireless microphone system. I actually ordered that antenna kit because I'm going to continue to keep using this wireless microphone system. There are links down below if you want to check this out for yourself. You can either check out the Indiegogo campaign, or if you're watching this in the future, there are links down below. And don't forget to use promo code ScottYuleMusic at checkout if you're buying it from the PHENYX PRO website to get 5% off your purchase. But like I said, I am going to do a giveaway from one of my subscribers. PHENYX PRO was kind enough to offer to do a giveaway to one of my subscribers for this exact system. So in order to enter the giveaway, two things. One, you have to be a subscriber, so go ahead and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And then second, you have to leave a comment down below using the magic phrase. You can say whatever you want down below in the comment section, just as long as at some point you say the magic phrase Oreo milkshake. You only have 24 hours to enter this giveaway. I will announce and notify the winner tomorrow. Please just remember, do not respond to scammers. I will never ask you for money for these giveaways, ever. Scammers sometimes show up, pretend to be me, and then they start asking you for money for shipping or whatever clever reason they say you need money. If anyone sends you a message, says that they're me, and they start asking you for money, that is a scam, 100%. Please do not fall for scammers. So thank you guys again for watching. Hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button to feed those YouTube algorithm gods. If you guys are interested in a good, affordable, budget-friendly wireless in your monitor system, check out the PTM10. It's kind of an older video that I did, but it's a great stereo wireless in your monitor system that PHENYX PRO makes. And also, I did review their drum mics as well. I feel like that's kind of a obscure video, but their drum mics work really well, and I use those all the time. So you can check out both of those videos by clicking the links on your screen now. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at ScottYuleMusic. I post a lot about my shows there, especially in my stories. Thank you guys again for watching. Again, thanks for PHENYX PRO for sending this over. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.